Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, we know the Roman Catholic Church had a great part. But not only the Roman Catholic Church, though they spearheaded and held control and caused these things to be in motion and quote unquote sanitize chattel enslavement. But not only that, we have the role of the Protestant churches, in which many of our African American brothers and sisters and siblings are still a part of to this day. Now, the evangelical and Southern Baptist churches also played significant roles in sustaining these systems. They may not have created, but they helped to keep them in place because they benefited from them. By the time the transatlantic slave trade reached its heights, these churches were not only silent on the matter of slavery, but very often complicit. Many Southern Baptist churches leaders argued that slavery was divinely ordained, using scripture to justify the enslavement of Africans. This theological justification for racism laid the groundwork for segregation and the enduring of racial inequities we still see today. Now, as we sit with these historical truths, I want to ask you this, and I want you to think about it, and you can let me know in the comments section. How have the teachings of the churches you've encountered influenced your understanding of race and equality? Are the remnants of these colonial era beliefs still present in modern religious spaces in society? And I want you to write those down. Write it in the comments section for me. Write your reflections. And let's keep this in mind as we move forward. As we look closer, it becomes clear, crystal clear, that religious doctrine was manipulated to fit the agenda of those in power. The Bible itself was used as a tool, a strategic tool to dehumanize enslaved Africans and indigenous peoples. For example, we have biblical justification for slavery. Passages were handpicked from the Old and New Testament and they were interpreted in ways that justified the practice of slavery. Verses from the book of Genesis, such as the story of Noah's curse on Ham, where it was twisted and purportedly stated that curse of Ham theory, which claimed that African descendants were cursed by God to be subservient to others. This interpretation was used to rationalize the brutal enslavement of Africans, even though it was a gross distortion of the original text. Now, evangelical Christianity, particularly in the American South, grew alongside the institution of slavery. Preachers often used the Bible to reinforce the idea of white supremacy and the moral righteousness of slavery. Southern Baptist churches were particularly vocal in supporting the Confederacy during the Civil War, defending slavery as a positive, quote-unquote, good. Beyond slavery, racism became institutionalized in church structures, from segregation of congregations to the exclusion of black ministers and leadership roles. The church perpetuated racism long after slavery had been abolished. These practices were made to ensure that white supremacy remained ingrained within religious organizations. At this point, I want to invite you to reflect on how these historical realities have shaped not only the institutions we see today, but also the personal beliefs we may hold. How often have we considered the weight of these historical distortions in shaping our own spiritual practices? Give it a thought. Let me know in the comment section your reflections.